Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Fry. Hey. Um, this week marks the 50th anniversary of a very exciting event that happened in 1970, 50 years ago. It was an emergency that happened when people were flying to the moon. And the mission was called the Apollo 13 mission. They were going to go land on the moon and do some experiments. But what ended up happening was they had an explosion on the ship, and people didn't know if they were going to be able to make it back or not. And the book that we're going to read today is about a woman, an African American woman, that helped them get back to Earth safely. Her name was Katherine Johnson. She actually just passed away maybe a month ago or so. She was over 100 years old when she passed away. So I hope you like this story. The name of the book is called Counting on Katherine, How Katherine Johnson Saved Apollo 13. You'll notice it's one of our Red Clover books this year. It is written by Helene Becker and it's illustrated by Dow Pumaruk. And you'll notice on the spine label, oops, let me open this up for you, it says 92 Johnson. That's because this is considered a biography, the life story of Katherine Johnson. She really liked math a lot. Counting on Katherine. Katherine loved to count. She counted the steps to the road, the steps up to church, the number of dishes and spoons she washed in the bright white sink. The only things she didn't count were the stars in the sky. Only a fool, she thought, would try that. Even so, the stars sparked her imagination. What was out there? Katherine yearned to know as much as she could about numbers, about the universe, about everything. Katherine's boundless curiosity turned her into a star student. She was so bright, she skipped 3 whole grades. She catapulted right past her brother. He wasn't so happy about that. By the time she turned 10, Katherine was ready for high school. Back then, America was legally segregated by race. Her town's high school didn't admit black students of any age. Katherine burned with fury. She wanted more than anything to keep learning. Still so much she wanted to know. Count on me, Katherine's father told her. By working night and day, he earned enough money to move the family to a town with a black high school. Katherine loved high school. She was good at every subject, but math was still her favorite. She dreamt of becoming a research mathematician, making discoveries about the number patterns that are the foundations of our universe. In those days, though, there were no jobs as research mathematicians for women. Professions most available to them were teaching and nursing. So, Katherine became an elementary school teacher. She liked her job, and she loved her students, just like me. But she never stopped dreaming about exploring numbers. In the 1950s, the U.S. government National Advisory Committee on Aeronautics, NACA, hired thousands of new employees. It even started hiring black women as mathematicians. Katherine heard about the mathematician jobs and her heart raced with excitement. Perhaps her dream would come true after all. But when she applied for one of the positions, she was told that they were already filled. Katherine had to wait a whole year until new spots opened up. Her patience paid off. She got the job. A few years later, the Soviet Union sent a rocket ship into space, launching a space race with the United States. NACA was rolled into a new space agency, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA. Katherine now found herself at the heart of America's space program. She worked as a computer. Electronic computers were not widely used yet. Instead, she was the one calculating long series of numbers, computing numbers. All the computers were women. They were given the tasks that men thought were boring and unimportant. But that didn't bother Katherine. She knew that without her contributions, a spaceship couldn't reach its destination nor safely return to Earth. Katherine's reputation for accuracy and strong leadership skills, she was known for asking a lot of questions, got her promoted to Project Mercury, a new program designed to send the first American astronauts into space. Mercury's missions were going to be dangerous, so dangerous that even the project's star astronaut, John Glenn, refused to fly unless Katherine okayed the numbers. "You can count on me," she said. Glenn's spacecraft, Friendship 7, orbited the Earth 3 times and returned home safely. Glenn became a national hero. Katherine was promoted again. Now she was asked to calculate the flight paths for Project Apollo, the first flights to the moon. "Count on me," she said. On July 20th, 1969, the Apollo 11 astronauts walked on the moon. Their feat was celebrated around the world. More triumphs followed. Apollo 12 rocketed to the moon in November of 1969. Apollo 13 launched on April 11th, 1970. But on the third day of Apollo 13's flight, the worst thing happened: an explosion in space. Could the crippled spaceship make it to the moon? And if it didn't, would it be able to get back home to Earth? The 3 astronauts on board were in grave peril. They were in great danger. Commander Jim Lovell told Mission Control, "Houston, we've had a problem." Back on Earth, Katherine Johnson got a phone call. Her flight path calculations would have to be done all over again, and perfectly. It would be the toughest challenge of her life. Katherine told Mission Control, "You can count on me." She rolled up her sleeves, took a deep breath, and began doing the math. She worked hard and fast. A few hours later, Katherine's calculations were finished. The flight path to return home would take the ship around the far side of the moon. From there, the moon's gravity would act like a slingshot to zing the ship back to Earth. To get home, the crew of Apollo 13 would have to follow Katherine's course exactly by burning off fuel at precise intervals. If the astronauts made a mistake, their ship would drift through space forever. Katherine waited anxiously to hear the astronauts' report. Finally, it crackled over the loudspeakers. "We've got it!" Apollo 13 was back on track. Katherine Johnson had done it. She'd brought Apollo 13 home. She was no longer the kid who dreamed of what lay beyond the stars. She was now a star herself. Anyway, the name of this book is called Counting on Katherine, How Katherine Johnson Saved Apollo 13. Again, this is the 50th anniversary of Apollo 13's adventure. What I'm also including on the daily special is a link to some information about Katherine Johnson's life. And I'm also including something that I think is kind of cool, and that is about the lunar project that's coming up. They're starting another program, not the Apollo mission, but this is called the Artemis mission, the Artemis project. And that Artemis just happens to be the sister of the god Apollo, and she is also the goddess of the moon. And on the Artemis project, there will be women that will be going to the moon. And so I've included a YouTube clip about some of the women that are working on that project. I hope that you have a great week and that you have a lovely and relaxing vacation or a staycation, and we will talk to you after vacation. Have a fun time reading, get outside, get some sunshine, and then read some more. We'll see you later. Bye.